the previous video, we did a lot more composition compared to the part 1 video. We initially did only the tune, and after that we fully orchestrated that tune by using violins and then cello and then percussions and all those stuff. So we didn't complete that tune in the previous part. We only finished the main section, and I also did the tune for how the piece was supposed to end, but I didn't orchestrate it. So in today's video, we're going to finish off the composition. I'm going to show you the starting and the ending, how I wanted to go, and also I'm going to show you how to put articulations, how to put modulations and expressions in your song so that it'll sound more natural and it'll not sound like a VST. So we're going to look at the final part of composition before we enter into mixing. And if you are new here, I'm Florina Jain, otherwise known as Flow of Music, and I put out a lot of music production related videos. So if that's something that you like, then don't forget to subscribe. So let's get into the video. So first things first, in the previous part, we did just the main melody. That was done along with the orchestration and all that. And then we only had a kind of like a tune for how it has to end. So we actually had only this. So it was just the melody and some chords, and that was the fundamental tune for how I wanted it to end. So now I finished the orchestration for the ending section as well, and let's have a listen to it. So that's how the piece is ending, and I'll tell you what and all I've used here. As usual, the violins are doing the main melody part. And then I have a piano which is doing the melody but in 2 different octaves. And then I have this cello which gives you that pulsating move. It sounds good, right? Like it makes the song moving. And then I have the French horn which does the counter melody. So in this section, I've kept it really simple so it doesn't complicate the thing. Very simple, straightforward progression. And then I have bass, kind of supporting the cello part. And then I have glockenspiel, again playing the melody. And then I have some chimes because it's almost the ending of the song, so I want that to kind of mellow down a bit. So we have that, and you should be able to hear it move from the left to right. So if you're wondering how I did that, it's using this plugin called Tremolo, which is just a stock plugin. You find it under modulation. And then I just added a preset slow panning, but slightly changed the rate just to make it move at the time I wanted to move. So that's how basically this section came up. So after this, we only need to decide how the section has to start and end. So this is my idea. The original melody that I played, I decided to put that as my intro. So the piece is going to start like this. That goes on. So after that, I have actually added the final section over here, but I've muted a couple of stuff and I only have the double bass and the violin. So this is what you hear. So that goes on for a while, and then the main section starts and then followed by the final section. So this is my arrangement, and the song comes about 1.5 minutes, which is totally fine. I just wanted to make a very short orchestral piece. So there are a couple of things that I want to let you know in terms of composing and how I do it. Normally, I start with the main section, which is going to be the hook. For any song, not just orchestral music, I like to start with the main section where all the instruments comes up and where the song opens up, and then I backtrack. So, and then I decide what instruments I want to add in the ending, what I want in the beginning. That makes my process a lot more easier than starting from the intro and then deciding what instruments I want for the next section and then once again deciding for the next section. So I feel it takes a lot more time to do it that way. When I finish the main section, I kind of have an idea of what instruments I'm going to use. So it'll just be like subtraction of those instruments for the intro and the ending and all those stuff. So I always find that easy. And second, if you actually listen to all these sections, like for example, this violin. That's how it sounds. It sounds okay. It's not bad. But normally when someone plays it in front of you, it will not have this constant volume and that expression throughout. They keep changing the way it is played. Sometimes it will go soft, sometimes it will go loud. I want that tremolo feel. Don't take me wrong in that aspect. I want that effect. I want that articulation. This is called articulation. Like for example, if you listen to this violin, whereas if you listen to this. So if you listen to it, most of the section has a very similar kind of volume, and that is not how it naturally sounds. So we are going to add something called as modulation and expression, and I'm going to show you how to exactly do it. So in your MIDI, you will have that small kind of a roll-on thing where you can adjust like pitch and modulation. So I'm going to move that around. So basically, so you hear that happening, right? So that's because of this modulation wheel. I just move it around while playing the chord and it just happens. But now you might be thinking that I've already recorded something. How can I give modulation to a stuff that I've already recorded? The answer is very simple. You just open the editor window. I'm going to select this automation, and then in the bottom, you'll have all these different sections that you can choose. I am going to choose modulation. So basically, this is the wheel that I have, and I can move that around, and that will basically adjust this modulation. I'll just give you a demo. This is without any of those changes. Sounds okay. But watch how it sounds while I move this. So there's a lot more human effect to it, right? And it sounds much more pleasant. You feel the strings also moving along. Even though that's the melody, you seem to kind of move along with it because of this. So I'll show you how to record these kinds of stuff. You just need to click record and do your thing. This is the wheel. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to press record and I'm going to start moving this wheel around. And then you'll notice that all those automations just come down below. And I just pause it and I got all these things. So this is the change that I did on this modulation wheel. And anytime you think you want to make a change, you just, click it. It's like a normal point. You can just move them around. So in orchestration, modulation and expression play a very, very vital part. You need these kind of changes in your track. You need them on violins, on cellos, on bass, and a lot of stuff. and then you will feel that dynamic difference. Then it's going to sound so different, it's going to sound big. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to give this modulation effect to as many tracks as I think it needs. I'll be watching a tutorial which will explain about modulation and expression, and I'll link that video. I'll put the name of that YouTube channel as well right next to this, so you will know what I'm following. And I'll get back to you after I do a couple of changes. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of progress that I did using this modulation. First of all, these trumpets now sound different. So I'll show you the modulation that I did. So in context with the song, so when the last chord of each bar comes up, it swells up and it's not just constant. So I've done that for a couple of tracks. Even for cello, it sounds like this. And then also on the violins. So these two violins. And then you hear it go up and down, right? So that's what I'm doing with modulation, and it already sounds good. I've just applied it on a couple of tracks. Right, you hear that trumpet swell adding a lot more dimension to the song, and it sounds so cool. So I'm going to play the whole section that we have, the whole song right now, so you understand how the flow is. Look at this cello sound as well. So that's how modulation helps, and it sounds so much more natural. I felt like a couple of violin sections were a little loud in the modulation, so I can anytime go over here and I can fix those issues because they are just automation points. So if I don't want it this loud, I can just reduce them. So that's what I'm gonna do, and with that we'll be completed with the composition part. So this is how it will sound like. We just need to fix a little bit of modulation and expression. So the next week will be mixing. So we will have all these stems ready. I will arrange the track a bit in terms of organizing, and I'll keep it ready so that next week we'll be mixing this track from beginning. We're gonna mix it and you'll be seeing the entire process. If you have any doubts in this, you can comment them below and I'll help you out. If you have any suggestions or if you have any other things that you want to consider telling me, you can put them in the comment as well. I'll meet you next week with part 4 of this video where we'll be mixing this song.